Hi everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Julia if you're new. Today I'm gonna be whipping up a special treat. This is a low carb slash keto slash low sugar pumpkin pie. November is Diabetes Awareness Month, and one of my colleagues has type 1 diabetes, and so for our November staff meeting where we always have catered lunch or potluck, we are actually having a low carb diabetes friendly potluck, and that is coming up in 2 days. So I need to get this treat pulled together in order to be able to bring it in to share with my colleagues. This is gonna be a great recipe for any holiday celebration between now and the new year, especially if you are keto or low carb or have diabetes, whatever it is. This is a great recipe. I will link it down below for you. I have not made the recipe myself, but I have eaten it. I have a friend who currently has gestational diabetes. I asked her if she had any recipes for desserts or treats that she has found since she's had diabetes, and she made this one and shared it with me, and it is quite delicious. So that is what I am bringing as a little treat, dessert for our staff potluck coming up this week. To get this started, I'm gonna get my oven preheating on 350 degrees. And I'm gonna grab my pie dish as well. It's sort of buried in the back of this cabinet. First, we're gonna make this crust. I had to go and find some, I don't know if you'd consider them specialty ingredients, but they are not things that I generally keep on hand in my kitchen. So I had to go to a couple stores to make sure that I had everything to make this recipe totally diabetes friendly. The majority of this crust is made up of almond flour, and I need 2 cups of almond flour. This is a 1/2 cup measure. So that's half. And then I need 5 tablespoons of coconut flour. I actually saw this at the Dollar Tree, so I don't know if it's any good, but I bought it. 5 tablespoons is also equal to 1/4 cup plus 1 tablespoon. So just for the ease of measuring, that is how I will measure this out. Next, I need 1/8 teaspoon of salt, which I am just going to eyeball. I need a tablespoon of keto brown sugar, and when I Googled exactly what that meant, basically any of the sort of like sugar replacements, Truvia, Swerve, any brand like that that makes a brown sugar variety. Next, I'm going to add 1 egg beaten. This is an egg from my executive director at work. Her parents have like 60 chickens. So I get these beautiful farm fresh eggs for free, which would normally cost a whole lot of money at the store. And finally, I need 1/3 cup of softened butter, which is exactly what I have out here. And I'm gonna get all of this combined, and that is our dough. Oven just came to temp, which is perfect, because once this gets combined, we're just going to press it out into our pie dish over here and pop it in the oven to do a little bit of a par bake. I did decide to just get in here with my hand. That was gonna go a lot faster, especially to get that butter really incorporated. You can see there's still large kind of lumps in there, so I'm just gonna make sure all of those are worked in. I'm not really somebody who bakes a lot with like alternative ingredients, aside from now learning how to bake without eggs for the most part for my family. We don't have any dietary restrictions that would prevent us from having gluten or dairy or anything like that. But my understanding is that you can't really overwork something like this, a crust like this, because the almond and coconut aren't like regular wheat flour. They're not going to develop gluten or, you know, become tough or anything. That is just kind of the nature of gluten versus something like this. Okay, this looks pretty good. Now I'm just going to do my best to work this flat into my pan and up the edges just like you would have a regular pie crust. Seeing how thin I can get it and even. Photos that accompany this recipe, which like I mentioned, I will link down below. The crust looks really good, and I just have a feeling that I am not going to get my crust to look quite as beautiful. I've never really done well getting a nice, like, picture perfect crimped crust. But I am gonna give it a try because why not? I know I just said I was gonna try to make this look nice and pretty, but I'm just gonna trim the excess off the edge here because with the consistency of this dough, I just simply do not know how I could crimp it. Because the way that I have it right now, it's like stuck against the side here rather than like a traditional pie crust I would have rolled out and could like pull away from the sides. So I'm just going to trim this excess so that at least it looks good, even if I can't try to like do a nice traditional crimped edge. This is what we ended up with. I'm gonna pop this in the oven now for about 15 minutes. And while this is par baking, I'm going to get our filling pulled together. All right, for the filling, I just got this same bowl rinsed out. It's probably gonna be a little bit tight to fit everything in the bowl, but I just don't feel like dirtying a second bowl. So that's where we are. I'm gonna get a can of pumpkin puree. This is not pumpkin pie filling, this is just plain pumpkin puree. 15 ounces, which is the standard can that you get at the store. Next, I'm gonna add 3 eggs, a half cup of the keto brown sugar that we used earlier, a cup of heavy cream. Unfortunately, I don't have heavy cream, but I do have half and half, so we are going to make it work. That is just shy of half a cup. And that is a little more than half a cup. I need a teaspoon of vanilla. This is my homemade vanilla extract. We don't measure that in a measuring spoon, we just do it by heart. And then the recipe calls for pumpkin pie spice, but it does include like a little note about what you can use if you don't have that, which I don't. And it calls for cinnamon, ginger, clove, and nutmeg. I don't have nutmeg, which is not gonna be a problem. I'm just gonna add mostly cinnamon. Again, I'm not measuring this. You could, I'm just lazy. A bunch of ginger as well. And then less clove. And the last thing I'm gonna put in is just a little bit of salt. Calls for 1/8 of a teaspoon. That's gonna help enhance the sweetness and the richness. Okay, let's get this mixed. There's about 5 minutes left on that par bake on the crust, and then all that's left to do is pour the filling into the par baked crust and bake for another 50 minutes or so. And if the edge of the crust looks like it's browning too quickly, I'll just tent a little tin foil around the edge. I really do want to get a I can't even remember what they're called. Just like the ring that goes around, maybe that's what it is, a pie ring that goes around the edge so that it protects the crust from browning too quickly. But I don't have one, so I just use tin foil when I need it. And once the pie is done and the middle is totally set, you're gonna let it come down to temperature, cool, and then store it in the fridge for at least 2 hours so that it can really set up. And after that, you can store it in the fridge for a week. Is it gonna last that long? Absolutely not, but this will last perfectly well for 2 days until my potluck at work coming up this week. I already know it's gonna be delicious because I've tasted it before, but I'm really excited that I now have this in my repertoire. So if ever I'm hosting somebody that is keto or has diabetes or is just watching their sugar and their carbs, I have this as a delicious treat that I can make for my friends. And maybe now you have something that you can add to your holiday table to be inclusive to your friends as well. Pie just came out of the oven. The edges did get quite brown, but I did cover them with foil. Like I said, this needs to cool all the way down, and then I will store it covered in the fridge until I bring it into potluck at work. I just want to thank you so much for watching, for stopping by, spending time with me. If you are in the US, I'd love to wish you a happy Thanksgiving and a wonderful holiday season. If you like this video, consider giving it a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you haven't already done so. It really does help my channel grow and reach new people. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.